break. First of all, we have January 5th. You want to talk about that? Oh. Ken McAlpine will be coming again on our free Sunday in January. He came and spoke to volunteers earlier, but if you missed that or you would have friends and family, he will be signing his book because he's the author that spent a week camping on each of the islands, and his book, Islands Apart, is about his sort of musings on spending time on the islands as well as modern society and who we are and sort of disconnected from the land and from things. So he's a great guy, it's a great day. He'll be signing his books that day as well, so that's a good event.
And then end of January, I believe it's the 27th, Marla Daly is coming to give a talk. She's the president of the Santa Cruz Island Foundation, and she has authored a book. It's available in the bookstore. It's a pictorial history. It's very, not a whole lot of text. It's one of these Arcadia photo books of historical photographs of all the islands, with a little bit of a subtitle and explaining where it is and what it is. And she's going to come and she's going to give us the inside scoop and the behind the scenes of some of these photographs. And she knew Carrie Stanton. She was introduced to him as a young woman, as a, college or graduate student, researching on the island, and she became good friends with the family, and so that interest in the island was nurtured early on, and to this day she's still researching and writing about the island. So she just is a treasure trove of knowledge, and I hope you can come to that. And end of February 24th, I believe, we're going to have a presentation about Richard Diebenkorn. And I really encourage you to come to that. The Fine Arts Committee, in fact, is funding the event because we're going to have a woman, a curator from the Orange County Museum of Art, come out for a day to give a presentation about Richard Diebenkorn. She put on, just recently, I think it was last year or the year before, she put on a pretty big exhibit of his work at their museum down there, and it traveled to the East Coast, and it got a lot of press, a lot of positive press. And so she is one of the experts on him that lives close enough so that we can afford to pay her to come up here to do this, so I hope you come. So, switching gears, Dan Harding. Who of you know Dan Harding from growing up here in this area? Anybody? No. At Splendors, I was surprised Dan Harding came. He was one of our featured artists and honored guests. He was surrounded by a little fan group, and everybody told me, we actually grew up with Dan. I went to school with him, and I know him from Santa Paula, and this and that, so it was really cute. Dan Harding grew up in Santa Paula. He's a Ventura County native. He, from an early age, was always interested in marine life, wildlife, but mostly the sea and the oceans. And started out with just exploring the Tidepools. When he was old enough, he got a scuba diving license, went on scuba trips, and then he went to college and he got a degree in marine sciences, and I think also a graduate degree in marine sciences. And he became a teacher, and then he kind of toured the world. He, within U.S. territory, I guess. He taught in the Virgin Islands. He taught in Guam, and at some point he came back to Ojai. No, he came back to Santa Paula, and he, lived in Santa Paula, but he taught up in Ojai at high school, also marine sciences or biology. And he's retired now, and he is now blending his love for nature with his interest in photography. And I believe even when he was still being an instructor, making a living, he would already photograph quite a bit. But of course, once he retired, he had a lot more time that he could devote to this. And so he became quite active, I think, in the past, I don't know, between 5 and 10 years, I guess, maybe more 5 years. I first noticed him when I did research last year for the exhibit Splash. I'm sure most of you remember that, the summer exhibit about ocean-inspired art. We had some surfboards and beachwear. This image was in the exhibit, and I paired it up with the Tidepool quilt by Isabel Downs, because I thought the two would make a very nice pair. And at that point, his photography already had this type of style. And what I mean is the in and out of the water perspective. So he would use a camera that is waterproof, and he would partially submerge the camera lens into the tide pool, but have it also peek out a little so that he would get this effect. And shooting with a wide angle lens so that you get this kind of, it's not quite a fisheye, but you know, that's why you have the rounded edges. And yeah, the images here aren't as brilliant as they are in real life. I picked this one. He has many without people in it, and some of them, in my opinion, actually some of the actually better ones, I guess, in my personal subjective opinion. However, I chose this one, which is also beautiful, because I wanted to introduce a human element to the exhibit, because a lot of the ocean art did not have humans in it, but I thought this would be a nice connection between nature and us, you know, either using nature, admiring nature, maybe also doing bad stuff to nature, impacting nature in a bad way, but so this I thought was a nice one. So, enough said. Then, you know, artists keep in touch and they keep you updated. Oh, you know, I was in an exhibit last year, but let me just, you know, keep you informed of what I'm doing now. So you know we can just, yeah. So then he sent me some emails and he's like, look, Ariana, I'm kind of doing something new. I'm still very interested in tide pool, wildlife. I'm still doing my photography. But he took this whole idea into another direction. What he has now done for the past year or a little longer, pretty much all year this year, with all these images that you see in the exhibit are from 2012, he goes out into the tide pools, and we can maybe show the one of him. He isolates, he takes the little critters out of the tide pools, and he has his kind of like self-made little studio. It's a portable studio. I don't even know what this is. It almost looks like a cooler. And so he takes the little critters out of the tide pool with some plants, puts them in a little Tupperware, and then he just sits and watches and observes and waits. And he looks at them through his macro lens, and he just waits until they move and whatever they do, until he sees a nice composition, and he captures it. And after he's done, he takes the little critters and puts them back where he found them. And so, having that white background isolates these little critters out of their natural environment. As I say, I mean, he does put plants in them and just waits for the right moment to capture it. But I was very stunned when I saw it, because I had not seen that before done by anybody, at least regionally. I didn't, you know, it was like the first time I'm like, oh, that's a new concept, this is new, and so I thought it would be worth an exhibit, because there are so many underwater photographers out there, but I thought that he had found something new. And so that's why I thought we should feature him. And we are showing 12 photographs from his series, and we can just go through this. Yeah, this one is, oops, sorry. Yeah, it was too fast. This is a 2-spot octopus. Oh, and of course, all of these things are tiny, right? He explained to me all of the creatures that are depicted in the 12 photographs on the walls right now could fit into a little film roll container. You know, the 35mm film rolls and those plastic things. All of these things would fit into one of those. So you can imagine how big or how little they are.
And when you look at Ariana's labels, it's very cool. If you haven't already noticed, on the text label, there is an image of the actual size of the creature that's depicted. And at first you think some of them just look like an ink blob or something because they're so small, but those are the actual sizes.
These are called, oh gosh, what are they called? Can somebody help me out? Yeah, they're stars, but it's called Dancing with the Stars. That's how we titled it, but I'm kind of blanking on the actual spiny something star. It's on the. We included quite a lot of interpretation on the label because I thought that would be good to have when families come through with children. To give the parents a little bit of help. This is a bed star. This is, what is it called? Spotted kelpfish. And here's a nudibranch, a Spanish shawl. It's called Spanish shawl. For obvious reasons, yes. And that's pretty much that's it for now. Dan Harding is going to be here at one of our first Sundays in February. So he's going to be in the gallery and he's going to bring his equipment and camera, and so just to show people how he does what he does. And last but not least, I always forget that, but this time I really want to make a point of this. We always put together these gallery guides for the Smith Gallery, 2 or 3, and they are laminated and they are intended for the gallery use only, not for people to take home. So if you sit at the front desk, if you see somebody trying to walk out with it, please gently remind them that they are not for, take home. And of course, on the days when we have our George Stewart monologues, we have a lot of people come in. And yes, some of these people will probably complain that there aren't any more paper copies. However, they are more than welcome to get a copy, okay? So let me know. I'm going to run them a paper copy if they want it. The reason that I no longer put paper gallery guides in the gallery is because it's human nature that people just take one because it's free and they end up in the trash on the way out, or they take them home and put them in the trash, and it's a real waste of paper. That's why I started laminating. But of course, there really are people who collect these, and I have seen patrons come back with their own gallery guides to the George Stewart monologues. Of course, we make copies.